to hear a voice from the West Didlands. Let me do that again.
You are listening to Freshly Squeezed.
I think at the time we were touted as the next great Manchester band by Terry Christian, so that was our kiss of death.
Pineapple.
If your ears are ready for brand new music, you're in the right place. This is Freshly Squeezed, the new music podcast. I'm Jim Salverson, and hopefully you're ready for another dose of tunes and chat from some of the finest up-and-coming artists in the UK right now. If you've not yet subscribed to the podcast, make sure you click that follow button wherever it is you're listening. Never miss an episode. And also, do leave us a review. Tell us what you think of the episode. Tell us who your favourite artists are. And maybe, if you've got a musical tip for the future, get in the comments, get in the reviews, and tell us who we should be checking out on a future episode of Freshly Squeezed. But today's trio of acts are already locked in. And one of those will be providing an exclusive live session just for Freshly Squeezed, because in a bit you're going to hear from the brilliant Winter Green.
Songs for the lonely. Songs for the lonely. Songs for the lonely.
There's a good story coming up from that, a lot about the very early days of Oasis as well, which we'll get onto shortly. Also in a little bit, there's a new, mysterious, Irish-based band called the Vorgs. We're going to be finding out a little bit more about them shortly and hearing more of this.
Girlfriend on the 11th floor. Are you there yet? Or is there someone at the door?
Filthy, that tune, isn't it? Really like it, and there is definitely a bit of a mist of secrecy around the band, which we'll be trying to blow away shortly. But before we get on to anything from those two, first off on Freshly Squeezed, we're going to go transatlantic.
Final boarding call from Flight C97.
We may well be stateside for this very first bit of Freshly Squeezed, but we've gone stateside to speak to someone very much with their roots in the West Midlands, and that is Dom Malin. How you doing, mate?
Very well, Jim. Yeah, really good. It's beautiful weather out here. It's just coming to summer and it's stunning.
What has taken you out? Well, where are you and what's taken you out there?
So I'm in Washington State and I'm in a place called Walla Walla. It really does exist. I promise you that. So many people go, what? Is that real?
Good name.
And it's not in Australia. No, it's in the US and it's a wonderful wine region. And I'm out here for a few shows. Naturally, every year they do like a spring release. They need music. And over the last couple of years, I've made a few relationships. So I get invited back and it's just gorgeous because you play late into the evening up to like from 6 to 8 and then the sun's setting and you're like on the vineyards around you and people are pouring wine, having a good time, and I'm very blessed.
It sounds great. Are you into your wine? Is that your thing?
Yeah, wine's a big thing for me. It's always naturally, I guess it was always on the table at home. So it's something I've gravitated towards and yeah, it's really enjoyable. I must admit, I don't drink when I'm performing or playing, maybe a little bit afterwards, but it's very nice to end the show and get paid and maybe have a bottle of wine, which is lovely to take home and enjoy with friends and family.
It's kind of fitting because a lot of the music we play on Freshly Squeezed, it's kind of, if I was going to sum it up as a drink, it would be pints of lager, often in the air or thrown over someone's head or something like that. But your music feels far more sophisticated, and I think wine is very appropriate. And the tune we're talking about today on Freshly Squeezed, new single Blood Moon, which you wrote. Interesting, you're in the States now. You wrote this one when you were living in Seattle. Is there something about the kind of areas you're in that you find inspire your music? Do you draw from the geography of where you're writing?
Absolutely, Jim. Yeah, I think naturally I'm always someone that writes from acute observations and truth and experiences. So if I'm in something, living it, there's usually a song or a moment or sometimes a reflection of that time. And I just remember flying it. It's one of my first long haul flights. It's like 11 hours from the UK and the air hostess came over the tunnel. I was like, welcome to Emerald City. And I sat there going, oh, what a lovely description. Because, looking out the window, that's kind of the idea that I had. It's a lot of greenery, a lot of, it's huge. It's a big landscape. And yeah, naturally, I just kind of gravitated towards letting that simmer for a little while and then letting it kind of flourish into this kind of metaphorical idea of wanting to belong to someone or having met someone and experienced something and then obviously life has taken over, but you've still got this gravitational pull. And for me, it's like this warm cuddle of a song that, I think every time someone should listen to it, they should just feel that warm embrace, either from that person next to them or that person they're thinking of.
It's interesting that that's come from a kind of imagined place, because when I was listening to your music, it felt to me like a lot of it was really personal, almost like diary entries. Do you have that kind of relationship with your song?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strange one because sometimes songs come along and they almost tell you the future. But it's also come a lot from, because I travel a lot, I meet a lot of wonderful people and I connect with so many people. And sometimes, there's always that curiosity and wonder of, what could be or what might have been or what could have come from certain relationships. And so, yeah, there's a lot of truth in the song about that and those honest feelings of reflection. And sometimes you give a little piece of your heart to someone and just, it's always going to be theirs.
Does that mean looking back at your discography, you kind of see these tunes as like moments in time or moments in your life? Or does your relationship change with those tunes as you play them live and kind of other people imprint on them in a certain extent?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, up until this point, you really can follow the journey of Dom Malin. Some people say they know more about me through my songs than actually, person. Because I guess I'm quite a private person or just introverted in general. So naturally, there's some more relationship-based songs from a long-term relationship, Yesterday's Love and All I Know, and then kind of fast forward to Blood Moon and kind of journey and the travel and the kind of people I've met. But for me, yeah, they really do change. I wrote a song called Surface, and Surface was always just trying to belong. I've always felt like the outsider trying to find my people. And really the back end of last year was this huge turning point for me when the community through TikTok and through Patreon, Twitch really got behind what I was doing. And I was like, actually, this song is like a symbolism now for like this family, this unity that we have, and comes from a place of just feeling lonely. But actually now I'm kind of not alone anymore in that sense. So yeah, they do change. They do mean something completely different, but they can also, I love just how people interpret songs, as much as I like sharing what a story is about and I see it from the side of the listener, I'm just as excited to hear what they think about it and kind of how it relates to their life, because everyone's experiences are slightly different, even though it comes maybe from a similar moment.
You've used the word community a few times when describing your fans, if you like, and that's something you very much nurtured via various social media channels. It's an interesting way to think about your fans as being a community. How does that differ to the normal musician fan base relationship? Is it more inclusive? How does it work?
Yeah, it really is. I think it's just really beautiful. Music actually can be quite a lonely experience. I was only saying this the other day when I released Blood Moon, up until really recently, you drop the song and, you'd worry if you did enough or be checking numbers. It'd kind of be really like, it wouldn't be an enjoyable experience, or at least for me. Whereas most recently, getting behind or having everyone kind of just celebrate it with you, it's just been just a really lovely way to change that kind of experience of the day. And yeah, it really is. It's inclusive. It's like everybody. I wanted to create a space where people could be seen, be like catching up with a friend, with grabbing a coffee, or just being somewhere where you aren't judged. And it's just really grown, from the people that arrive. Really, it's down to them. A success from an artist comes from the people that value what you do and champion you, and they're wonderful bunch of people, and they support one another, and that's everything, and music's a part of that. It's just gorgeous to see. And when I talk about inclusivity, it's just great because you can bring them into that world. There are a point probably that you might reach that's not quite possible, but the idea of having these people that will always be there to celebrate these milestones and journeys just excites me as much as, playing Glastonbury. Yes, I do, but also I love just going off Glastonbury and having like a quick private TikTok live or something with like these 30-40 people and be like, hey, look at where we are right now, and remember this when we spoke about it in 2024 and we did it. That not only keeps me grounded, but also I love people, I love communication, I love sharing what I do. I think it's a big part of my story, of the music that I write. And I'll probably, I was going to say, I don't know where it might cut off on the journey that I have, but I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
Dom, pleasure to speak to you. Thanks very much for your time on Freshly Squeezed. We're going to get Blood Moon on the podcast, but really appreciate your time. I'll let you get back to the wine.
Cheers, Jim.
City of emerald green. Seattle, how you been? When was the last time we spoke?
you've been booked to play the wine regions, can't you? Sunset in the background, something cold in your hand, and Dom Malin playing that over in the corner. Absolutely perfect. Right, next on Freshly Squeezed, I'm heading into the Freshly Squeezed live studio. I've got a band upstairs. Are the lads in? Are they ready for me?
Yes, mate. They're just upstairs in the studio.
Nice one, cool. Let's go. Floor number 3.
Going up. Floor 3.
Here we go. Just through here. Here they are, the boys are in. It's Wintergreen.
Hiya, you okay?
Hi, Jim.
So, for the kit geeks that are listening, before we hear the session track in a little bit, take me through the studio. What have we got going on in terms of gadgets and instruments and whatnot?
We are a gadgetless band. We are
We're recording it
Luddites
all
of
on
the-
like a chalkboard or something like that.
We are basically the Luddites of the music world. I will play, if someone gives me a piece of concrete with some tightly wound sheep gut over it, I will play that and make a song out of it. Yeah, we're not really about the instruments, it's about the song. We're very song focused as a band. Pete's got a bass with 4 strings, he only uses 2 of them. Anyway, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even know what guitar it is. It's a green one. I'm the same with cars, to be honest with you. My wife drives a car, and if people say, what car do you drive? I say a grey one.
Does any of that extend into the recording process in any way? Because obviously we're living in a digital age now and everything is done on computers, but do you kind of hark back to maybe a bit of analog recording at times?
I'm a little bit more sort of interested in the technology, to be honest. I mean, I've got a Fender P bass with an Ampeg TKO 110. That's my setup. So I'm a little bit more technological than Mike is.
Got some geeky numbers in there.
It tends to be the producer who helps us get our ideas into the machinery and some interesting sounds coming out. That's how it works.
As long as it sounds good, that's the main thing. And the tune you're going to play in session today is called Man on the Bench. And it's a song that also gives the new album Songs for the Lonely its title, which is unbelievably your 5th album as a band since getting together in 2013. And I say got together in 2013. I guess the word is convened. It's probably a better word to describe what happened, or reconvened, because a couple of members previously together in a band called Grifter, which lent this project some of its early songs, I believed. Is that why you've managed to be so prolific, do you think, in terms of turning around 5 albums in a relatively short space of time? Because you had that history and you're able to pick it up with a running start.
I think so. I think, I mean, Mike and me have known each other since we were kids and have known Grant for probably 20 years as well. I think it certainly helps for our band, the fact that we're good friends. You know, we can get in a room together for a few hours and not tear each other's heads off.
I suppose as a songwriter, I'm relatively prolific. There's another band I play with called The Catchmen. I write that stuff and I write film stuff as well. It's just, I like writing songs. I might not like playing the instruments and people may not like me playing the instruments, but the song is always the thing.
I'm glad you mentioned the Catchmen, Mike, because I wanted to talk about them, because back in the early 90s, once played a gig at Manchester's legendary Boardwalk with Oasis as the support act.
Well, Pete was there as well.
Pete was in the crowd, I believe. Were you, Pete?
Yeah, I was there in the crowd.
When you look back on that gig, I guess Mike from sharing the stage in some capacity, Pete from being in the crowd, when you look back on it, do you stop and think, hang on, they had something special at the time, or were they just another support band, another band on the Manchester circuit at that stage?
I find it weird to look back. I never look back on anything. Whether it's, I do a lot of work in film and do a lot of music. And recently, obviously, because the Oasis band have got back together again, the status quo of our time have got back together again. I think at the time we were, the Catchmen that is, were touted as the next great Manchester band by Terry Christian. So that was our kiss of death there. But I think I think I was probably 19 or 20. And when you're that age and you're playing in a band, I think it's hard to be magnanimous and look and watch another band and go, yeah, I can see what they've got there. At the time, I think, and Pete will probably second me on this, I thought they were a bunch of Stone Roses copyists. And now I realise they're a bunch of Stone Roses and Beatles copyists. So I wasn't that far off the bunch at the first time.
Never a temptation to pick up the phone, Mike, and kind of speak to Liam and say, look, mate, we got you on our support back in 1991. It's time to repay that favour.
I did call him actually after we did the gig. and because they said I got on really well with them because they're also from Burnage, which is from where I'm from and just up the road from where Pete's from. And basically, I called them and offered them a gig, and they told me what I could do with my gig. So there you go, going there again.
I want to come back to the band in a moment and the tune you're going to play in session for us in a minute on Freshly Squeezed. But first, I want to play a little game because, now please don't take this the wrong way, but wintergreen to me sounds a little bit like it might be a paint colour. And I think that's okay because every paint colour has a weird and wonderful name, and paint colours could easily be bands as well. So I wanted to play a game. I'm going to say to you some green paint colours, and you need to tell me whether they're real or whether I've made them up.
Okay. Yeah.
See how you get on with this one. The first one, Flemish tapestry, which sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. Is that a real paint colour or a made-up paint colour?
No way. It's like that vanilla bone or whatever's in the advert.
I reckon Flemish tapestry is a type of wallpaper. That's my guess.
It is actually a paint colour. From B&Q's own Velspor range, you can get yourself a pot of Flemish tapestry. So 0 from 1 first off. We'll try another one. Atomic Vomit.
No chance.
That's an Oasis album.
That is also a paint colour. Nickelodeon apparently make a range of kids' paints, and Atomic Vomit is one of the ones you can pick.
Get away. I'm not having that. I'm going to Google that.
We'll try one more. Goose Turd Green. Is that a paint colour or is that made up?
No way. That's a review of the Oasis comeback gig.
No, that's what Michael be having for his tea. Sounds more like something he'd eat.
It is also a real paint colour. Apparently, roots in Elizabethan English, where it was a popular choice for a wool colour amongst ladies' fashion, apparently. Goose Turd Green. So there you go. If you fancy painting your living room, Goose Turd Green, go right ahead.
So all of them were actual paints,
All real paints. But wintergreen is not a paint yet. Right, let's get back to the tune you're going to play in session today. Man on the Bench. Unusual, this track, in that the words are written by someone outside of the band. David Quantick, who's ex-Enemy journalist, writer for TV Burp, writer for Spitting Image as well. How did that come around? And also, from your point of view, Mike, what's it like singing words that are someone else's creation? As a vocalist, can you still connect with a story, even if it's not necessarily yours?
Well, it's interesting because in a way, with Wintergreen, I might come up with a chunk of the songs. Equally, I either collaborate with Pete on songs where he gives me the words to work from, or where we'll co-write a song together. So I'm kind of used to doing that. With this one, I've worked with, in my other life, I'm a film producer, so I've worked with David on a few things, and David's an Emmy-winning writer of stuff like Veep, so he's great with words. And I said, have you got any ideas for songs? And he sent us this ages ago, actually. And I did a little acoustic demo for it. And Pete, who's kind of like the band's archivist, came up with, said, oh, we should do something with this. And we revisited it, came up with a middle A. And it was a really nice song to sing, actually. It's quite a simple song in terms of, the structure. A couple of nice, juicy chords, which is nice to have in there. But it was nice to finish it off and get it on the album. And it's one that we talked about recording processes before, but what was really nice on this album is the three of us stood in the same room and played everything live. And in a weird way, because we came up from that, probably that 90s way where things sometimes got over recorded, it was nice just to be in the same room and just playing everything live. And I think that's why we got a nice vibe on a lot of the tracks.
Nice. Well, we're taking it back to its roots, I guess. It's acoustic roots today on Freshly Squeezed. Got Wintergreen exclusively in session. Pete, Mike, Grant, cheers for coming on. Nice one.
You ready?
Yep.
Man on the bench, reading the paper. No cigarettes, these days of vapor. Man on the bench, not in a hurry, saves all his cash for a takeaway curry. He doesn't mind, he wanders only. Why is there so many songs for the lonely? Songs for the lonely. Songs for the lonely. Songs for the lonely.
Wintergreen live in session exclusively from Freshly Squeezed, a band with new music out, but a band with a hell of a pedigree as well, and a hell of a history in Manchester too. If you want to hear what they sound like in a non-live environment, if you want to hear some of their proper studio stuff, then check out the links in the podcast description. As always, links to all the bands on today's episode can be found there. Finally, on Freshly Squeezed though, one more band, and I'm going to be forced to change my hat. I'm going to take off my Timu John Peel hat and put on my Timu detective hat, my fake Sherlock Holmes deerstalker, because there's a little bit of detective work involved in this final interview, and it's with Donal from the Vorgs. How you doing, Donal?
Hiya, Jim. Thank you for having me. Really great to chat to you.
Cards on the table, Donal. I don't want to start this in the wrong way, but most of the bands who come on Freshly Squeezed, I know a little bit about. And if I don't know much about them, I do a bit of research, maybe check out some old interviews, that kind of thing. With you, I don't know whether there's just not much out there in the world. There isn't much of a digital footprint about you. So either I think you're working for MI5 or something like that and you're just keeping things on the down low, or it's a meta thing where you just don't believe in promo, or you're just a band that's so fresh out the box there just isn't much out there bar a few tunes yet. Which way are we going with this?
I'm freshly squeezed, Jim, and fresh out of the box. It's very new. I've just started releasing songs in April, so the first tune was out April. Yeah, so that's how new and fresh it is, and I like the fact that it's quite mysterious and a bit of a myth, which is kind of in keeping with that Vorgs theme, really.
Is it a new musical project for you, or is it kind of just a brand new thing? You've not really done this stuff before.
A bit of both, really. Like, I've been making music for a while, but this is the style of music that I've always wanted to make. Really taking it seriously now, so it's like an idea that I've kind of got loads to work with. Like where I can take the Vorgs is something that I'm looking forward to, you know.
Like I said, I don't know much beyond the tunes I've heard, the three that are out there in the world, one of which we're going to play in a minute, and I want to get onto that in a moment. But in order to come up with some bits to ask you, I asked the Freshly Squeezed supercomputer to write 100 questions for the Vorgs. I have them in front of me. Your job is to pick the 3 questions that I'm going to ask from that list. So I need 3 numbers from you, between 1 and 100, one at a time.
Oh, it's a pity you didn't give me 101 questions, because the next single is 101.
That would have been so clever.
Yeah, that would have worked. I'm going to go question number 1.
Okay, question number 1. If you could describe your sound to someone who's never heard it before, what would it be?
It would be an undiscovered artist from the past that was slightly ahead of their time and placed into nowadays to see how they would fit in, stand out, or seem completely out of place.
Nice. I like that. Okay, let's have another number.
38.
38 is... Do you think punk has to be political?
Just going by past trends and how it's been in the past, it has been kind of notoriously political. But like, I would consider some of my music to have punk elements, and I think that's more about the attitudes rather than politics. Your style of delivery, just you as a person, maybe how you feel about where you stand in the world. So it could be just kind of rebellion, making yourself heard, letting out some kind of inner energy, aggression, and attitude as much as a political leaning. So I suppose not necessarily, yeah.
Where do you draw as a songwriter? Where do you draw your inspiration for tracks from, in terms of kind of the stories and the lyrics rather than the musical side of it? Because we're in a world at the moment where actually that external forces, those political messages, that kind of worldview, it's very difficult to avoid that because it is so batshit crazy and it's everywhere.
I would say where I would draw kind of lyrically would be from, I suppose, just themes and feelings of how certain things make you feel. So, for example, a band, a post-punk new wave band from the 70s or 80s, how they make you feel. Movies, a TV theme tune from like yesteryear. Iconography from, particularly for where I'm at the moment, iconography from the past, 70s LA and New York kind of street life. All of that kind of, those visuals are very inspiring for me, and they kind of make me feel a certain way. And I try to capture those sentiments or themes in a song. Like when you ask me about like how would I describe the band, I would also kind of use the words retro, kind of futuristic. I like futuristic themes as well, and that could be like I suppose, modern technology. Again, movies, Blade Runner, all of that would go into the kind of lyric writing and try to create a scene or create a feeling in someone. And of course, like your own personal life, your own personal experience will come in there some way to answer your question, Jim. Yeah.
Go on, give us one more number, Donal. We'll do one more of these.
We go 100. Keep it 100.
If the Vorgs were an animal, what animal would it be?
I'd say gazelle. Yeah, I've been described, like I play a bit of football, I've been described as to move gazelle-like, so I'd say that, yeah.
That's a decent comparison. Nice one. Well, you'll be pleased to know I've had some independent thoughts on this interview as well. So we'll put the AI questions to one side for now, and I want to talk about the tunes, because what I've heard from the tunes so far is they've got this real lo-fi feel to them. I guess that's that retro thing you were leaning into. They sound very DIY, and it reminds me a lot of the Strokes' first record. And that Strokes' first record, that sound was more driven by art more than situation. So what is it for you? Was it a conscious decision to go, I want these to sound a little bit grubby, I want them to sound homemade? Or was it that was what you could do with the facilities you had?
Again, a little bit of both. There was a conscious effort to recreate those feelings I felt when I heard those first Strokes records in amongst the type of music and production that was out at that time. Same as kind of nowadays, the production is kind of slick. A lot of the bands, especially in Ireland, sound a certain way. Like I was striving for something that's completely different to that. So that was the conscious efforts to kind of, just the production techniques to keep it lo-fi, VHS texture type thing, kind of overdriven vocals and just a bit trashy. But also, due to limitations, that's how it came across as well. It was kind of a really quick process, not overthinking it, trying to do it in as few takes as possible. Even down to the kind of visuals and my approach to visuals. I'm just using a crappy kind of Android phone, it's low battery, kind of get it done as quick as I can before the battery runs out on a cracked screen. But I think that lends itself well to the style that I'm going for. So a bit of both, Jim. Yeah, I think.
I guess that leans into the retro thing as well. And you've mentioned your 80s inspirations. You name check a couple of bands in your bios, Stooges, Blondie as influences. I think I can hear a little bit of Blondie, particularly in the main riff in 101, which we're going to play in a bit. But what is it you take from those 80s style bands?
Like what they were writing about, it's like city life, city boredom, living in an apartment. And when you're young, to recreate that. With the 80s bands, I found like some of their riffs to be really quirky and a bit weird, but accessible. For example, the Bangles, Walk Like an Egyptian. It's different, it's weird, it's quirky, but it became really popular. And that's something that interests me, to create something that's underground, weird, but it's made it to the mainstream, really. And that's what I'm not really hearing 80s sounds for a long time, those kind of bloopy kind of guitar riffs, and it's a little bit different. They were quite different and weird and ahead of their time even back then, and we've not really had that for a while, I think.
I mean, there is an 80s revival kind of going on in music at the moment, but it's gone a different way. It's gone very synthy, whereas I think you're taking it in a different direction.
Yeah, I think so. Like, for example, maybe the 1975, I liked what they did, but it's still, to me, really polished. Whereas, I like some of the more trashier kind of side of 80s stuff.
Donal, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming on Freshly Squeezed. I hope that I've introduced you and the Vorgs to a whole new audience, and now there is something in the world that people can find if they want to find out more. But cheers for your time.
Oh, thanks so much. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.
from a brand new band. That is the Vorgs 101. If you follow the links in the podcast description, where are the links to all the bands that are featured on today's episode, there's not a whole lot more from them, but it is definitely worth a second listen to that tune, and there are a few other bits and bobs there as well. And like I say, you can always find out more from the bands featured via the podcast description. The links are always there, as is the link to Spin Class and their latest tunes. They are the house band that provide the theme tune for Freshly Squeezed, and they are ace. That's it for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow the podcast. Leave us a review if you want. And most importantly, tell a music-loving mate about this podcast and keep your finger on the pulse of the best emerging artists in and around the UK. That's it for this week. Cheers to your ears.
Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, was devised, produced and hosted by Jim Salveson. Sound design and additional production by Ant McKinley. Theme music, Blue Blazer, is written and produced by Spin Class. Stop.